Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining Elite CISO's weekend session that we do every weekend, every Saturday at 5 o'clock India time. Really appreciate you taking out time on your Saturday, 1 hour from your life, and joining Elite CISO's session. We have a very exciting session coming up for you. As you can see the title, it is Securely Enable Your Work from Anywhere Workforce. So as you know, the COVID-19 changed the entire paradigm, right? How we work, how we go to office, how the enterprises run. And still a lot of organizations are working remotely. All the employees are working from home, working remotely. So today's session is going to be focused on how do you ensure security while your employees, while your colleagues are working remotely, okay? To talk about this very important topic, we have experts from Palo Alto joining us today. So we have Vinay and Manoj delivering this session. Originally, we had planned that Vinay and Manoj both will deliver, but unfortunately, Manoj called in sick, so he will not be joining us, and the entire onus is on Vinay. Vinay, why don't you come on camera and let's do a quick introduction, and then I will run through the agenda.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Very excited to connect to this Elite CISO community, and looking forward to an engaging session with you all. And can't wait to go on and share our story with you. Thank you.
Great. Sounds good. Good to have you, Vinay. So as you see the agenda on the screen, quick initial welcome and quiz for 5 minutes, and then 5:05 to 5:50 for next 45 minutes. Vinay will wear a dual hat. He will also cover for Manoj as well as for himself, and we will have Palo Alto session. At the end, we will save about 10 minutes for Q&A. So unfortunately, there is nobody else in the panel who can answer while the session is going on. So you will have to hold your questions till the end. You can put it on the Q&A tab, and we will pick from the Q&A tab at the end. Or what you can do is, if you want to ask live, you can wait till the end. You can raise your hand, and then we will take live questions. Okay. And then I will share the password to download your participation certificate. We will have Wheel of Fortune. And today we have 2 Philips air purifier. Thanks Deepak, who is again in the panel, for an exciting idea coming up with this giveaway. Very thoughtful of you. And then we will open registration for next week. We will have a feedback form as well, right? So at the end, we will put a feedback form. Everyone who fills the feedback form will get an exclusive t-shirt from Palo Alto. So again, thanks Palo Alto team for that. And this session is being recorded. I'm recording it locally, and then we will upload it on our YouTube channel. Slides will be available on website as well. So if you have been attending Elite CISO's session, right? So I see about 235 participants. I guess that about 20-25 would be joining for the very first time. So just for your knowledge, after the agenda, what we do is we do something which is called Stand and Attend Challenge, right? This challenge we throw in every single webinar that we do. And I show this very next slide in every webinar. People will be sick and tired by now by seeing this slide. The whole purpose is that at Elite CISO, apart from building a collaboration platform, sharing knowledge and all, we drive a very active fitness community. So we are kind of running a 325 days of fitness challenge, where Palo Alto is supporting us with this fitness initiative as well. So what we want to do is we want to ensure that CIOs and CISOs, our colleagues, they are fit and healthy, okay? And the amount of sitting that we do, right? While if you're going to office, you sit 8 hours in office. If you are at home, you spend a lot of time sitting, and the sitting is new, or as it is called, sitting is new smoking. So the bad effect of smoking. Same is there with the sitting as well. You get foggy brain and all these problems which are listed over there. So instead of just showing this slide, what I wanted to do is I wanted to play this quick video as well around why sitting is so bad, right? So this is 1 hour webinar. I still want to take 1.5 minutes of this webinar and play this video so that you understand why we throw this challenge in every webinar. So let's listen to this video, guys.
WHO has recognized physical inactivity as the 4th biggest killer on the planet. Here's why we need to get up and move about. At least 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week is considered ideal, but it still won't help if you're sitting too much. Well, this is how sitting kills. Calorie burning drops to 1 per minute. Enzymes known to help break down fat drop by 90%. Electrical activity in the leg muscles shuts off. It leads to obesity and metabolic syndrome. Leads to some types of cancers too. And worse, inactivity is the cause of a quarter of breast and colon cancers, 27% of diabetes cases, 30% of heart disease cases. But you can fight this killer, and this is how you can fight it. Stand up once every hour, if not every half hour. Do 10-minute workouts behind your desk. Conduct walking meetings. Use a treadmill desk. Stand and stretch during commercials on TV. Use fitness apps to remind you to stand up. Use standing desks at the workplace. Here are some famous personalities and their love for the standing desk. Sir Winston Churchill, Leonardo da Vinci, Mark Zuckerberg, Malcolm Turnbull, Ryan Holmes.
Great.
WH
Great, guys. So you see how harmful is sitting. That's why I throw this challenge every week. So stand and attend this challenge, guys. If you stand, you will have all these benefits, less pain in your body. You will feel better. You will have better spinal posture and you will think sharper, right? And you got to think sharper because the next slide is the quiz. So go to the chat and type, yes, guys, if you're accepting this challenge. And yes, I will share the video. I saw a chat coming in for asking for video. I will share that. And I see a lot of people saying, yes, this is the best part. I really love it that you guys accept this challenge. And this challenge is for Vinay as well. I'm not sure how you are placed to deliver the session with your laptop and everything. But yes, going forward, we will challenge every panelist as well. When they come to Elite CISO, they have to stand and present the session. Okay, guys, thanks for accepting the challenge. Get ready for the quiz, which is coming up on the next slide. Okay, guys. So you have to, it is the fastest finger first. You have to find the answer and quickly put it in the chat. Okay. If you do not know the answer, Google it, but be quick. You have to quickly put it in the chat box. Okay, guys, here comes the first question. So first question is, Dash is an unprecedented critical vulnerability in the Azure cloud platform that allows for remote account takeover of Azure's flagship database, Cosmos DB. You have to name that vulnerability. Okay. I see a lot of people are typing. So I'm not asking for the database name. I'm asking the name of that vulnerability. Okay, it is for just for 13 seconds. I see a right answer coming in. Okay, I will show the right answer now. So the name of the vulnerability is Chaos DB. Okay, Chaos DB is the vulnerability name that has been given. Okay, I will go through the chat and we will see what the right answer is and who gave the first right answer. Here comes the second question. Okay, guys, get ready. Here comes the second question. When was SASE first described and by which entity? Which entity described SASE as a term first and in which year? You have to have a single line answer. Which year, which month, which year, and which entity? I see individual answers are coming in. I have not seen the complete answer yet. Okay, I am putting the answer now. It has to be a single answer in one line, month, year, and entity. I'm looking at the answers, but I don't see anything in one line. Okay, guys, here is the answer. August 29, Gartner had described for the very first time SASE as a new keyword, right? That's where the industry is going. And that is helping remote workforce as well. Okay, guys, with this, it is 5:10. Let me transfer it over to Vinay now. Vinay, go ahead, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas. And I certainly will next time will try to deliver the presentation standing. It's a good advice that you've given, and I certainly want to follow that. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking time out on weekend and joining for this session. Over the next 40-45 minutes, I'll just try to cover the SASE story of Palo Alto and how we can really help you in ensuring a secure workforce for you. So please try and keep it interactive. Ask questions in the panel, and we'll try to see if we can cover your questions, everything at the end. Unfortunately, my buddy, the technical architect for SASE solutions, is not available today, but I'll try my best to answer your questions. And if there is anything which is I'm not able to answer, I'll certainly try to get back to you on that. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone, because if you can just confirm on behalf of everyone.
Yeah, it's visible. Thank you.
Okay. So just a quick introduction from my side. My name is Vinay Bilore. I've been with Palo Alto for the last 2 years and have been instrumental in setting up the SASE business for Palo Alto in India. And it's been a great journey. We've had tremendous market momentum behind us now, and especially accelerated by the pandemic. So my coordinates are mentioned. You can reach out to me individually on my email ID if you feel it. So I think we all agree that the world is changing and the pace has been accelerated in the last 18 months or so, ever since the pandemic happened. So organizations were looking at digital transformation and were in various stages of transformation, but with pandemic, it all got accelerated. The journey to cloud got accelerated, and now most of the organizations have applications, not limited to their data centers. They are everywhere. They are in public cloud. They are in SaaS applications. They are using along with the data center applications. And your workforce is hybrid, right? Many organizations are still working from home completely, but there are organizations who are working in a hybrid environment where some part of the workforce is in office and working everywhere. And in my conversations with the customers, what I've seen is that, one of the important impact of pandemic is that good enough security is no longer good enough, because there are chinks in armor which have been exposed when users suddenly move from on-premise to off-prem to working from home. And what some of the common questions that I have seen from the customers, or some of the common feedback that I've received from the customers, is that their current environments doesn't provide them secure coverage for all applications, because now applications which were there are different mechanisms of protecting different applications. On-premise applications have a separate set of security solutions and different access methods. Cloud solutions, cloud applications have a different access methods. And proxy solutions are seen to be wanting, because they only cover certain ports and protocols, port 80 and 443 and web FTP and DNS traffic. And apart from that, they are blind to everything. So, you need CASB solutions for protecting your SaaS applications. So there are multiple solutions that you need if you want to really achieve full secure access coverage. And many of these solutions do not really still provide complete security, because let's accept that, the modern hacker or the threat actors are much more advanced. They have got AI, ML, and cloud technologies working for them, just like these technologies are working for you. They are also leveraging these technologies to mount the new forms of attacks. And the existing solutions are not really capable of securing against these solutions. A pertinent example is that, if you really look at it, DNS security, there are multiple solutions which provide DNS security also. But many of these solutions really do not give you protection against the modern DGA kind of attacks, etc. So you need a solution which can cover you against these modern threats also in real time. And especially poor user experience is one of the greatest grouse, because the employees, when they are working from home, you really don't have visibility into how they are connecting, what devices they are connecting from, and what is the kind of Wi-Fi or network access they have. So all the blame comes to IT and security organizations. And if there is a new security solution implemented in the organization, the blame goes to that ever since the solution is implemented, we are not able to perform our job. So that becomes another problem. And the other most important aspect is that the availability of talent. When you have multiple point solutions in the environment, managing all of these solutions needs special skills. And there is anyways a dearth of solution talent in the market for security solutions, which is compounded by the fact that on an average, every organization has, multiples of security solutions. While you may have just, one or two server vendors, one or two, other application vendors or infrastructure vendors, But when it comes to security solutions, organizations have upwards of 15 to 20 solutions which they have to manage separately, so which becomes a problem. So let me just, okay. Now, this is the current state, right? I mean, if you really look at it, most organizations, when it comes to securing their hybrid workforce, which is working from home or is on the go in the field or is working from the branches, when they have to access any application, and these applications can fall in any of these 4 buckets, which is data center applications, cloud applications, your public cloud applications, your SaaS applications, or your internet access, internet applications. So when the user, whether working anywhere, when he has to access these resources, he has to deal with multiple solutions, or the organization needs multiple solutions which are completely disjoint for accessing these applications. So if he has to access anything on-premise, probably a user has to go through a VPN. If he has to access anything in the internet, he has to go through a web proxy. There is a CASB for SaaS security, etc. For cloud also, probably you might have an app gateway or something which the users may connect or may directly be going to internet also in many organizations scenario. So these are very complex environments that you have to manage. And of course, when you're looking at branch and you're trying to modernize your branch infrastructure also, you have to invest in solutions like firewall, SD-WAN separately, and probably, to make everything work together. So this is a very complex environment where none of these solutions talk to each other, though there are SaaS vendors, SASE vendors who try to give you solutions, but they are still disjoint. They might give you a cloud proxy for web access. They might give you a partner with a CASB solution for SaaS application access, and they might have a separate SDP solution for private application access. But they are still disjoint and complex. And if there is an attack, or if there is something that you have a alert, you really don't know where the problem is, and how do you patch it across for all access methods, right? So the stitching together of this infrastructure is left to the enterprise itself, right? There is no vendor who can actually stitch this together and give you a complete view, which leads to ultimately security gaps, because it's humanly impossible to manage all of these in a seamless manner and maintain a security posture which is consistent across all of these access methods. So that is where SASE comes in, and Gartner came up with this definition. As Vikas said in the quiz, that they came up with in July 2019, which is almost 1.5 years or 1.5 years ago. But we saw this transition much before, and we were ready with the solution, and we were going to market with our SASE approach even before Gartner came in. It's just a nomenclature change for us from a market acceptance perspective. So what SASE is trying to solve is that, since now your users are distributed, your applications are also distributed. SASE as a concept is saying that you converge your network and security fabric and create a cloud delivered fabric where users can connect reliably and access any application. They may want to go to any destination from anywhere. This SASE should ideally provide that, whether the user is wherever the user is. And after the first report, right, in July 2019, they've come up with another report in this year around July. And if there are certain key recommendations or observations that Gartner has made, and you can actually download this report from this link which I have provided. So, but key the crux of the matter is that Gartner is saying that you have to cut complexity, which you can actually do by consolidating vendors between multiple point solutions that you have, be it a SWG, cloud access broker, or a VPN solutions. Try to consolidate everything, because that is where you will gain, you will be able to reduce complexity and gain the advantages of unified access to all applications. And they say that by 2024, 30% of the enterprises will be doing that. But another important message from this report is that, or takeaway from this report is that not all SASE vendors are equal. Ever since, Gartner has come up, everybody has jumped onto this bandwagon, and the network players, virtualization players, proxy players, VPN solution players, everybody is calling their solution as SASE solution. But if you really look at it, SASE as a concept is saying that you consolidate everything. So, and there are 4 or 5 pillars that, SASE has, be it firewall as a service, private application access, zero trust network access, SWIG, CASB, etc. These are, and SD-WAN. So these are multiple pillars or functionalities that a SASE solution has. So anybody who has 1 or 2 solutions out of these also is calling themselves SASE. So that's a way market operates and vendors operate. But you really have to see that there is no uniformity in the capabilities of these solutions. So many SASE vendors do not even have their own threat intelligence and detection capabilities. They license it or white label it from others. Now, this is very important for organizations to understand when they're taking their SASE decision. Ask your vendors whether they own their threat intelligence and detection capabilities, because there has to be an integration between these capabilities, which cannot be achieved if you are taking these solutions, white label solutions from multiple places. And also when it comes to zero-day threats, etc., right? The ability to integrate and protect, how fast you are able to protect against these new threats is very important. When you have solutions coming from multiple vendors, even inside a single SASE vendor, if they are coming from multiple third parties, there is no integration which is there. And when it comes to ZTNA, also another thing that Gartner says is that there is no DLP or malware scanning that many of these ZTNA vendors do, which I will talk about in a bit later. The other thing is that SASE, the Gartner says that if you are evaluating SASE, look at the number of POP locations, etc., because there is a lot of FUD that goes around when it comes to the number of locations and which are available to the customers when they size. So it should match with your enterprise requirements. And also look at the peering relationship, because when you are actually taking your network and security access and access to the cloud, it is very important to understand peering relationships that these SASE vendors have with the other service providers. And lastly, but very important, look at their performance and scale. What is their performance for encrypted traffic? Because when you look at the many SASE vendors which are there in the market, they will give you an SLA, but those SLAs are void if you actually do SSL decryption, because that is where their scalability and performance actually becomes a problem for many of these vendors. So these are some of the pointers that you should be taking into account, which Gartner also says that. Now moving ahead, what are the challenges that we see with the current proxy-based approaches that organizations deploy? And this is something which we have seen in many organizations. This is an architecture which is prevalent. And we will just go quickly through what are the challenges that this kind of an architecture can have. So a user, he could be working from a branch or he could be working from home. When he's working from branch, he has a different set of access methods. And when he's working from home, he has a different set of access methods. So for when he's working from home or remotely, if he has to access anything in the data center, he'll go to the VPN gateway. But again, the problem here is that the scalability and the performance, etc., is completely dependent upon the hardware capacity that you have. Yeah. For any access to if you have actually white labeled your SaaS applications to come from a particular IPs, etc., you need to take back the user to on-premise and use those app gateways to go to those SaaS applications. So there is a whitelisting, etc., that you might have done. Similarly, if you have to access public cloud applications, many organizations invest in express routes, etc., or a site-to-site VPN to access these public clouds from data centers. So user connectivity goes all the way backhauls to the data center and then goes out, which creates a lot of latency and performance issues. And additionally, there is a lot of expense in you actually going to these and subscribing for these express routes, etc. So there is hairpinning, as we discussed, backhauling of the traffic. There are multiple agents which are there at the user side. There is a separate VPN agent. There is a separate proxy agent. If there is a DLP, also you might have a separate agent for network DLP. And when it comes to your SaaS and web application access, if you're going through a proxy, it really doesn't give you complete visibility into all traffic because it is only looking at certain ports and protocols. And many of the applications like O365, etc., Microsoft recommends that you should bypass the proxy. So if you bypass the proxy for access to your O365, you are actually losing complete visibility into that, right? So if there are threats, they can actually just go through seamlessly from that and will not be inspected by the proxy. So these are some of the challenges that we really see from this kind of an architecture. So ultimately, if you really look at it, there are complaints about poor user experience because of backhauling, because of multiple agents, etc. And if you are actually backhauling the traffic, you have to actually increase the internet capacity at your data center also. There is a cost of site-to-site VPN or express routes that we discussed. But ultimately, from a security perspective, there is still compromise, right? I mean, you have multiple point products which are doing different jobs. There is no integration, as we discussed earlier. And also, there is traffic bypass. If you are actually bypassing your O365 and other SaaS application traffic, you really don't know what kind of threats can come from that, right? And another challenge here is that, there are no dedicated egress IPs that you get from these cloud proxy solutions. These are shared IPs. The egress IPs are shared between multiple customers. So if you whitelist these IPs at your O365 or on any other SaaS application end, you end up actually exposing that to other customers of that service also, or otherwise, you can't really do that. Now, from a security capabilities also, we discussed about the modern threats which are there. And the weak integration which is there, components are actually white labeled from different vendors. And also it is the differences between having a capability just as a tick in the box and having actual security capabilities which does the job, right? So these are some challenges that are faced by the customers and they don't realize it initially, but when you actually have an incident, that is when you actually realize that though you have a sandboxing solution, but that sandboxing solution from a proxy is only looking at web FTP and DNS traffic. Anything else is just bypassed by that proxy. So the sandboxing solution really doesn't have any visibility into that traffic also. So and even when you look at it, the identification of the malware, etc., is simple hash based, etc., which is something which can be easily manipulated. There are algorithms which are available which continuously keep modifying the hash of the same malicious file. So your sandboxing will not, the second time this file comes in your sandboxing solution, you'll have to again look at it and it will not realize that it is an existing malware which has been detected. So these are the challenges, and also the overheads that come with that of managing the solution. Now that is where we thought that we have to give a better approach, and our vision from a SASE perspective was to provide a unified solution, something which becomes the convergence point for everything, for every user, whether coming from branches, working remotely and working from home, or coming from outside, or the partners or third-party vendors that you need to provide access, or even the IoT devices, etc. Anything and everything that has to access any application, be it internet, data centers, SaaS, or public cloud. Any of these applications, the user can connect to a single fabric which provides the network and security for access to any of these applications in the most optimum and the most secure manner. So that with that premise, we have built our solution, and providing a high performing fabric with no compromised security. Right? And how do we do this? If you really look at it, I mean, this is a little engaging slide. I mean, you have to really look at it, or rather, I would say it is little complex to look at it. But let me try to simplify this for you. On the bottom, you see actually are the different locations where the user could be working from. User could be on the go or working from home, or he could be working from a branch. When he's trying to access any of these applications, which all the applications ultimately fall into these four buckets: data center applications, cloud, SaaS applications, or internet-based applications. When the user is trying to go and access any of these applications using any of the connect methods, whether he is coming from a clientless or an unmanaged device, whether he is coming through a proxy connect method or using a browser to connect where there is a packed file, or an agent-based approach, which is the GP-based approach, where agent is installed on the user's device, which could be a corporate device, which ensures the best security posture here. But depending upon the use case, you could have users connecting through any of these methods and trying to access any of these locations. So you have a uniformity that irrespective of where the user is coming, what method of access he is trying to get through, or even if he's coming from a branch, we have our own SD-WAN solution, which is a CloudGenix solution that we acquired, and we have renamed it as Prisma SD-WAN. This solution seamlessly integrates with Prisma Access, forms the part of our Prisma SASE portfolio, and gives you a single place where you can actually connect user coming from the branch or from anywhere else through any connect method, trying to go to any of these destinations in the most secure manner. And when the user tries to go to any of these destinations, if he's trying to go to the data center or to your public cloud applications, there is complete zero trust network-based access that is provided based on the identity verification, based on the application authorization level, and with the complete session traffic inspection. The user goes with all these threats. All known threats are inspected. All the unknown threats are Wildfire best in industry. Wildfire solution inspects the traffic for that. We have an enterprise DLP solution also available as part of the same solution, which can look for any data exfiltration attempt. And it becomes very important when you actually have unmanaged devices or your third-party vendors trying to access. In the SDP kind of solutions, there is no DLP capability which is there, so you really don't know if you're actually providing a ZTNA or a SDP-based access to your third-party vendors. You really don't have any visibility and control for data exfiltration over there. But here, trying to go to any destination, it's the same set of security capabilities which are applicable, the same set of inspections you have, and you have complete visibility and control. And these are all layer 7 controls with the best-in-class security that Palo Alto is known for. And this cloud service runs on the same PAN OS, which our firewalls run on, which have been the market leaders and being the most security effective, have the best security efficacy in the industry, right? So the same is used. If you are trying to go to any SaaS application, there is a complete CASB capabilities also delivered from the same platform. If you're trying to go to web, you have the capability of the functionality of a software web gateway, also with complete filtering of URLs available to you. If you're looking for a remote browser isolation, if you have those use cases, also we have something which is very unique. It's a cloud-based, Cloudblade API-based integration that we have with the third-party RBI solutions which are there in the market. And so this becomes your single pane of glass for management and providing access to any application for the user. So the user, this is, if you really look at it, conceptually, what you're doing is you're actually ensuring that the user coming from anywhere will always have the same level of access, the same level of security controls, irrespective of what destination he's trying to go to. And, with all the security capabilities enabled from the cloud itself. Now moving ahead, right? I mean, double clicking on security capabilities, you have complete layer 7 visibility into all traffic. So the user, user could be anywhere, anyone, user working from home, third parties, branches, etc., coming through the Prisma SD-WAN or directly or through third-party SD-WAN, anything, all connected to Prisma Access Cloud. And this cloud is ultimately distributed across the globe on GCP and AWS infrastructure. And I'll come to that in a minute. But ultimately, when a user connects, irrespective of wherever he is in the world, right, and trying to access any of these destinations, everything gets connected here. Everything converges on this cloud, and you have complete visibility into it. There is a single pass security inspection. We integrate with your IDP to ensure that we identify who the user is, what is his device posture, which device he is coming from, and you can write granular policies based on these. and what application he's trying to access. And there is something very unique called App ID. And anybody who's familiar with our firewalls knows that, App ID is something where we natively understand which application the user is trying to access, and we can have policies based on that. And that traffic is inspected by the best security capabilities which are there, be it SSL decryption at scale in the cloud without any, without any compromise on the SLAs, looking at all known threats, unknown threats, DLP, web filtering, or DNS security out of the box from the solution to protect against all the modern DNS exfiltration attempts or DGA based attacks, or even IoT security. Every inspection happens from the single layer of cloud with the content ID, and you have complete monitoring and control and logging of this, right, from the single solution. Now, coming to the underlying architecture, and this is where we took a conscious call to create this service running on a public cloud infrastructure, because there are vendors who offer cloud services by creating their own POP locations across the globe. But ultimately, if you really look at it, what is the kind of infrastructure that anybody can create, right? I mean, though we are a large security company, but in terms of resources, we cannot match the investments that Azure, AWS, or Google has made into the public cloud infrastructure. And there is a reason for it, right? By making that kind of infrastructure investment, they have been able to create an architecture which is highly available, highly reliable, and where they have laid across their own private fabric also to ensure there is a faster access to the resources which happens. And there is peering, the peering capability that these cloud providers have, which provides them faster access to the other cloud services also. So we are running the service on GCP and AWS, but primarily on GCP. So we have 100 plus gateways across 76 countries today, and this list is growing. In India itself, we have about 3 gateways and 2 compute locations in India. Where everything, so you have, in-country geo redundancy, regional redundancy also available from the platform perspective, and we leverage, by our partnership with Google, we are able to leverage their peering relationship. So hence there are multiple advantages for our customers, right? Every customer who connects and uses this service gets the advantage of this direct peering that we have, that Google has, and we are able to leverage it. So Google has direct peering with AWS, Azure, and other cloud providers, as well as with application providers like Salesforce, Slack, Box, O365, everything, right? So there is a lot of middle mile optimization which is there, and hence there is faster access available for the users who are using this. And this is the reason we are the only player in the industry today who are able to give you SaaS performance SLAs. No other player in the industry gives you SaaS performance SLA for O365, G Suite, SFDC, etc. Now, and from an uptime perspective, we are giving you best in industry 99.999 nines of uptime, and the best in class security processing SLA. So our security processing SLA are 10x better than any other cloud security player which is there in the market, right? The nearest one which is there offers you 100 millisecond security processing SLA, and ours is 10 millisecond security processing SLA. So from an advantage perspective, you are always assured that you will have the processing of the security infrastructure or fabric happens much faster, and also access to your SaaS applications or cloud or your data centers across the globe is much faster because of the underlying fabric of private fiber of GCP that we run on. The other advantage or differentiation that we have is that every customer is treated as a single tenant, and a dedicated data plane is spun up for that customer, which means that you have dedicated egress IP from this service to you, right? Which means that anybody connecting, if you are subscribing to this service, you will get dedicated egress IP, which is not shared with anybody else. And you can whitelist, confidently go and whitelist that IP at your public cloud applications, say at your AWS VPC or your O365 instance, and say that only allow traffic coming from this IP. So that way you are actually privatizing your application access, SaaS application access, or a public cloud application access, which gives you much more secure access to your SaaS applications with better SLAs. And of course, from a scalability, etc. perspective, this is highly available, running on a public cloud infrastructure, and guaranteed by the SLAs that we provide, right? Now, there's something very unique also that we are doing, right, from a digital experience monitoring perspective, which I will just cover in the next slides. I'll just skip it here. Right. Now, coming to zero trust network access, it is very important to also look at how do we differentiate versus the SDP solutions or software-defined perimeter solutions which are there in the market. So, but if you really look at it, what is zero trust? It's an approach where we are trying to eliminate the implicit trust from all transactions, all stages of the digital interaction that the user has with the application. You are trying to eliminate implicit trust. Now, what does it mean, right? What would be more secure, right? I mean, if you were going to a flight, I mean, let's take a practical example. Your passport is your identification and your boarding pass is your authorization level, right? If you were allowed to board a flight just based on your identity, which is your passport, and your authorization saying that you are allowed to board this flight, which is your boarding pass, or do you think going through complete physical security of the baggage and people with complete inspection of the payload that you're carrying, would that be more secure, right? Obviously, you would say that the security is incomplete if you are just looking at these two parameters, right? Which is why it is important to understand that software-defined perimeters only look at the authentication identity of the user and the authorization level of the user to access an application, and then they provide access. Whereas Prisma Access ZTNA approach, we don't just look at the identity and authorization level, we continuously monitor the traffic to look at what traffic the user is passing once the connection is established, to ensure that there is no malware which goes through, or there is no data exfiltration that happens, right? So zero trust, it's important to understand this differentiation. So if you really look at it from our zero trust access approach, we integrate with your identity engine to understand the identity of the user, who's the user. We validate that. We validate the device posture with providing you the most comprehensive HIP profile or the host information profile parameters. And we also look at, then we provide an access which is based on the least privilege with complete layer 7 visibility. And we also completely look at the transaction in terms of the payload which goes through to ensure that there is no malicious data that goes through. Now, very important point on the user experience side that we heard our customers complaining about, that when a user is really working from home, there is no visibility or control that the organization has in terms of user experience. And organizations are struggling to ensure to provide minimum user experience to the users. So if you really look at the whole value chain of the user experience, a user could be working from home using a device which could have a problem in terms of the resource availability, the CPU, memory, etc. on his device, the Wi-Fi strength through which he is connected, the router through which he is connected, the ISP through which he is trying to access, the Prisma access layer if he is using that to connect to on-premise data center applications or the cloud applications. So when a user comes in, and complains that I have a problem, you really don't know where exactly the problem is. And most of the time there is a blame game between the application team and the infrastructure team to say that the problem lies with the application or with the infrastructure. So Prisma Access is the first in the industry which provides complete visibility into the whole value chain, giving you complete visibility from the same GP client that we have. It acts as a telemetry connector for all transactions that the user does and gives you segment-wise insights and complete visibility. So let's take this example. It's just one of the actual slides or the dashboards which is available to the enterprise, where you can actually say that if the user is complaining that I have a problem, my access to the Slack is slow, you can actually see that where all the problem is. If you really see that the device itself here is red, that means that the device has CPU or memory issues, and you can actually double click and identify the issue here itself. The Wi-Fi, the local network, the ISP, everything is fine. Yeah, and even Prisma Access is performing fine. And simultaneously, what you also see is that, the Slack application itself is behaving, erratically from this point onwards in time. So you will have probably this complaint from multiple users. So you know that, the problem actually lies at the application and as well as at the device end. And you can take proactive action as well as corrective actions immediately. So, you have complete handle over the user experience and the action that you want to really take. Now, with that, I've covered the product at a very high level, and just want to quickly move into the market leadership slides and some of the which will actually help you understand the adoption that we've been seeing, right? So these are, some of the reports that we've seen from third parties, which is basically, Azure, actually came up with this. I don't know if you can see this, but this is something that you can actually see. So Azure, which is the leading identity provider, they have seen that Prisma Access is the top application in 2020, which has been top security application, in fact, in 2020, which has been adopted by most active users. Well ahead of any other competition. We don't see any other security solution coming here. Even Okta, which is another leading identity provider, they have said that in 2020, they've seen Prisma Access with the highest growth rate, 94% growth rate. Of course, Zoom being number one with the highest rate of growth in the industry. Recently, just about a couple of days back, Forrester has released their new CTNA report, Forrester Wave, for that. And if you can actually see here, Prisma Access by far is leading in terms of all the parameters, right? Being strongest strategy as well as capability, right? So from all of those parameter perspective, we are by far having the best capability, and we lead the market here. Similarly, if you were to really look at it from a firewall as a service capability or just next generation firewall capability, we have been the leader for the last 9 years. Ever since Gartner came up with Magic Quadrant, we have been leading this in terms of security, efficacy, and market leadership. And even from a SD-WAN perspective, if you really look at it, we are in the market leaders quadrant. With our acquisition of CloudSenix, which has gained a lot of market acceptance. It gives a lot of differentiation because it is the industry's first application-defined SD-WAN solution, which is there. Now, this is just a glimpse of some of the customers that we have across different industries and the scale, right? I mean, if you really look at it, we have multiple global and local customers, with scale of 500 and 600,000 users. On this kind of a solution, connecting multiple and thousands of branches to this infrastructure. We also, so in summary, if you really look at it, how do we differentiate ourselves? Prisma Access or Prisma SASE solution that we have gives you no compromise security with inspection of all ports and all protocols, looking at all traffic, and ensuring there is no threats and there is no data loss across any destination that the user is trying to access. This cloud native scale, which we spoke about, with the best in class, best in industry SLAs, financially backed SLAs, of course, which shows that how confident we are of delivering the service and performance of the service, and the customers are vouching for that. And that is why we are seeing, adoption of this service, and we have, in the short span of 3.5 years, we've got more than 3,500 customers adopting Prisma Access across the globe. And you can, of course, from an adoption perspective, you can actually, depending upon what use cases you want to look at it, whether you want to just look at Swig, or you want to just look at firewall as a service, or you want to just look at zero trust network access, etc. You could adopt this solution, but it is a platform, right? I mean, ultimately, you have to understand this is a platform, and there are advantages of a platform-based approach because you can always augment different capabilities onto this platform. To give you an example, right? I mean, last 1 year itself, we have added, on the same platform, we have added enterprise DLP capability, the autonomous digital experience management capability, and we have improved capabilities. We are, also improved our, we're coming with the advanced URL filtering capabilities, etc. So there, what we are also doing is, for the customers, it becomes very easy to consume these additional services also. And based on your stage of adoption or your investments, existing investments, you can choose to adopt it in a manner where you can add these services later stage. And I would, you can keep adding more services in future also. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for your time, and probably we are just in time to move to the Q&A. And before that, I just want to share one slide on news on the Premier Summit that we're going to have for SESI in the next month, which is 28th and 29th of September. You can register on this this link. You can go to this link and register. There will be, of course, marketing effort that we'll be doing and publicizing this, but you can always be the first ones to register onto this. And the speakers, the best in the industry, right from Neil Zook, who's the founder of Palo Alto Networks, and our, creator of the firewall and the next generation firewall. Also, he's going to be there, as well as Martin Casado, who is known for creating software-defined networking movement in the industry, etc. So, with that, because I just want to open it to question and answer.
Great. Sounds good. Great session, Vinay. A lot of appreciation coming over chat. I mean, you are too focused on the session, but I'm looking at the chat, so a lot of appreciation pouring in for you. So great delivery, great content, Vinay. Let's do live Q&A, guys. Instead of me reading from a Q&A tab, we are all alive. We like this energy. So go ahead and raise your hand, and we will pick questions for next, let's say, 5 minutes. So first one I see is Mr. Kamaljeet. Mr. Kamaljeet, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, Vinay, for such a wonderful and insightful session. I am a Senior Director of Core Capital Credit Management, and we are a Palo Alto customer, and we use it pretty heavily as well. My question to you is, because we are into a voice calling, international calling, and even with the revised security guidelines as well, we are not allowed to use SD-WAN. And we have a lot of agents working from home. In that particular scenario, do you have any view how we can adopt to this particular solution in the lights of it is not being allowed by DOT for the SD-WAN?
Yeah, so, if you really look at it from our solution perspective, we have got Prisma Access and SD-WAN as two separate components, which the customers can adopt. And especially for, voice calling, etc. I think the latest guidelines which have come last month have, made a lot of relaxation. There is no requirement for you to have fixed IPs. There is no geofencing requirement, etc., which is there. So you can actually connect the users onto Prisma Access service and take calls. And in fact, one of the another differentiation of Prisma Access is that it supports voice and video and Teams and everything, all of those solutions seamlessly. So a lot of customers are now evaluating this. And the other thing is that we have complete data localization for this service, right? So if you really look at it, as I said, you have gateways in India, which you can choose. The complete logging is also available in India, as well as all security processing engines, be it our Wildfire or everything, is now available in India. So you have complete data localization from that perspective. And I don't see a reason why, you cannot use this service for any of the requirements. In fact, we have one of the large banks has gone with the solution for connecting their users onto this. So I don't see any challenge in Indian customers adopting this, or even the BPOs or voice calling users. That kind of connectivity also, it's not a problem. We have a lot of customers who are discussing that with us because of the revised guideline that has come last month, and we can take it offline. You can reach out to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinay. Thanks, Kamaljeet ji. Mr. Vittal Shetty, go ahead, ask your question, please. Mr. Vittal, you can unmute yourself. Moving to Mr. Umang Sharma. Mr. Umang, please go ahead, ask your question.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, your hand was raised, so please lower it. Mr. Umang, please go ahead, ask your question. Anis Bhai, you are next. Please go ahead, ask your question. Mr. Anis Pankia. Mr. Sanjeev Jain, please go ahead, ask your question.
Vinay, I think it's a very good session. I just wanted to understand that you were talking about AI with SD-WAN. Any use cases of SD-WAN with AI, and what are the basic benefits you achieved out of that?
Yeah, so I mean, if you really look at it, AI/ML is more relevant from a security capability perspective, right? I didn't talk about it from SD-WAN perspective, but if you really look at it, even our SD-WAN uses ML, to understand the traffic. We are able to identify the applications and optimize the access from a SD-WAN perspective for applications, right? So there are real-time decisions that we are able to take based on the application and define network access policies, based on the definition that we have given. The system automatically takes those decisions to ensure that each application receives the right access or right level of performance. But from a security capability perspective, I think this is the, if you've been following up Palo Alto, we've been the first in the industry to launch AI/ML based next generation firewall capabilities. And by doing that, we are able to stop a lot of the threats. Even before it goes to our sandbox, we are able to identify, unknown threats, and we are able to block them. So there are a lot of advancements that we are actually doing in that field.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vinay. Mr. Rajesh Kathuria, please go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah, hi. I want to understand a scenario wherein we have a typical user who is going via the VPN and connecting and suffering the problems of the VPN.
Yep.
So is there currently any facility if you're using a Palo Alto to check really what's happening as far as the Palo Alto firewall is concerned? And in the same context, in a corporate scenario where the user is now having our own BYOD, okay, and he also now is connecting to the enterprise applications which are on the public IP. So how will that come into the Palo Alto firewall? So basically talking about supporting and servicing users, two types of users in an enterprise scenario.
Okay, so let me just take one by one. So your first question was that whether the digital experience monitoring capability is available on our on-premise firewall or not, right? Where we can actually give you end-to-end visibility that I spoke about, right? So as of now, that is not available on on-premise firewalls and the VPN users who are connecting using GP, but that is something which is there in the roadmap. Prisma Access has it today, and you can leverage that. Now, I think, I'm sorry, I missed your second part of the question for public cloud. What was the second question?
If you have seen the enterprise scenario, there are users who don't want to go through the VPN because of the way VPN performs, and then the VPNs get relaxed.
Right.
Now, these users or end users, they'll end up accessing enterprise applications through the public IP.
Yeah.
Okay. They also end up accessing some other public folders and etc. because now there is no VPN.
Absolutely.
So then how do we handle this kind of scenario?
Yeah.
Because so that user will not have a global VPN client on him at all.
Yeah, correct. So I think there are two parts to it. One is when the user is using a corporate device, and this is something that a lot of organizations are now enforcing, is something called always on connectivity and enforcement, so that you have the GP client, which is our Global Protect client, which is enforced always on, so that even before the user connects or logs in, this agent, as soon as it sees an internet connection, it will create a connection to Prisma Access service, ensuring that, and the user doesn't have a right to disable it. So if the user is connecting from an enterprise device, he will not have a right to disable the agent itself, and he will always have to access through the GP agent, which will ensure that he's always secure. Now, coming to the other part which you asked about from a private device or a BYOD device. Of course, on a BYOD device, you can't put any restrictions. The user will not agree to putting restrictions for what he browses or where he goes. But your access to, that is where you can actually use a clientless access method, which I spoke about, where you can actually publish specific applications, your cloud applications or your web applications, and those users using a browser will connect to Prisma Access, where they will be authenticated and then allowed to access the application which they are allowed to access. And the traffic will always be monitored for DLP as well as for threats, etc. So you that way you will ensure that there is the access is always secure. I hope that answers your question.
It's a little complicated. Thanks so much.
Great.
We can take it offline. You can reach out to me.
Thanks a lot. It is 6:02, but I still want to take one more question. I cannot deny it, Parminder Bhai. Parminder Bhai, please go ahead. Let's take that as last question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vikas ji. Excellent session. Palo Alto is doing a fantastic job. I was a little concerned about one statement that I heard in the earlier part of this. The private IP that you assign, which is then white labeled in my cloud applications, doesn't that make it a single point of failure? I'm a little concerned on that. Maybe I didn't hear it well.
Yeah, so I think there is some confusion. What I said, that every customer of ours, we create a separate data plane for that customer. We spin up a separate instance. It's a multi-tenanted environment. But the egress IP of that service, right? So every cloud service that you subscribe to, the traffic that is egressing from that cloud service, there is a egress IP that is assigned to that. In our case, we give dedicated egress IP to every individual customer of ours, right? So which is not shared among our customers. So you will have a dedicated IP which is not shared with anybody else, and you can whitelist that, not white label. You can whitelist that IP onto your SaaS application or your public cloud application, which ensures that your SaaS application or your public cloud application has a privatized access now. It is not available over internet. Anybody who has to access that application has to necessarily go through Prisma Access, where all traffic will anyways be inspected, all authorizations level will always be checked. So you have a more secure access to your public cloud applications or your SaaS applications.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot. Great question, Parminder ji. I see a lot of questions in the Q&A tab. I do not want them to go waste. So Vinay, is there a possibility that someone from your team captures all those questions, put the answers, and then send it back to me, and we will upload the answers along with the presentation on our website? Is it possible?
So Deepak, would you be able to do that? Not sure if I can.
Yeah. So we can definitely capture those. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, people have asked a lot of questions, so let's not waste that. Okay, let me do a quick closing note. We are already running late. So thanks everyone for joining this session. We have 335 participants today. So great turnout. This has been our maximum turnout, and previous maximum was again with Palo Alto. So I'm sure Palo Alto brings great content. That's why people look forward to that. So great. Thanks guys for joining. If you want to download your participation certificate, the one that you see on the screen right now, what you can do is go to Elite CISO's website, which is www.elitecisos.com. Click on events, come to upcoming events, and click on CPE certificate link. Okay, once you click on this, this will take you to a different Google form. Put your email address, put your full name, and the password to download the certificate is SPACE space. Okay, space is the secret to download your participation certificate. You might ask why space. So the reason is, on today's date, 28th August 1991, first email was sent from space. Okay guys, so that's the historic significance of today, apart from doing this Elite CISO's webinar where we have 335 participants. So yeah, the password is space. You put that and you will get your certificate. Once you are here and you are downloading your certificate, what you can do is you can register for next week's webinar as well. So we conduct, as I said, every week on Thursday, we do our webinar. So next week we have a webinar with Archer. So first 100 people to register for Archer webinar will be part of a raffle where we will give away Amazon Alexa. So this is for 2nd September, and on 9th September, we have Beyond ID and Okta. We are doing very first session with Beyond ID and Okta. So if you want to register, if you're interested in password-less authentication, go ahead and register for it as well. That's about the events. And I see a lot of new people as well on the webinar. So guys, if you want to register or if you want to become Elite CISO's member, you can go to the membership tab and you can fill this form. But remember, Elite CISO is a community of CIOs and CISOs. Our chapters, our membership, our WhatsApp groups, they are only for corporate CISOs and CIOs. This is to ensure that we have right synergies between the members. So if you are a corporate CIO or CISO and you are not Elite CISO's member, go ahead. I encourage you to submit this membership form. Now, apart from doing all these, tech sessions, we are very much concerned about. We are very much concerned about the CISO fitness as well. As I explained that we do this stand and attend, and we do daily yoga Monday to Saturday morning 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. India time. So if you want to participate in our yoga groups, go ahead, register over here. We have a different group for fitness activity. We have taken a 325 days of fitness challenge. So a very vibrant community of fitness enthusiasts. If you want to register, you can go for that as well. Apart from that, just few initiatives. Apart from the simple events that we do on a weekly basis, we conduct a lot of technical trainings as well, whether it is cyber insurance or cryptocurrencies or finance for CISOs. So there are a lot of events that we do for CIOs and CISOs. But one thing is very clear, all our events are security driven, right? We are not a marketing company. We are not a generic platform. So we don't do generic IT events. Whatever we do is focused on security. So these are few other initiatives that we have. And you might also want to review the podcast section where we bring the industry experts and they talk about their own experience of implementing various security technologies, their journey in security. So I'm sure there's a lot of great content out there for community. Okay, guys, so that's what about the initiatives that we drive. Now, second last that everybody is waiting for. Before that second last, let me paste the link of the t-shirt that you want to get. So I'm putting it in the chat, guys. This is the feedback form I'm putting on chat. This is to capture your feedback about the session and the size for the t-shirt. So fill this form and Palo Alto will send you your customized t-shirt. And this will take about 2 weeks time, right, Deepak? 2 to 3 weeks time to deliver?
Yeah, 3 weeks probably.
About 3 weeks time to deliver. So I get a lot of DM on WhatsApp in terms of when do I get my gift. So it is like, it will take about 3 weeks time. It is all exclusive. So we have to, place the order, get the design done and all. So within 3 weeks, you will get this t-shirt. Link is on the chat right now. So you can click on that and fill the feedback form and you can get that t-shirt. Now, last thing that everybody is kind of waiting for. So this is our Wheel of Fortune, a lot of new people. So I will explain. The first 100 people who registered for this webinar, we have put their name on this Wheel of Fortune and I will spin it. It will randomly pick one individual and that individual will get Philips air purifier. Okay, guys. And again, all the non-business IDs, your Gmails, your Rediff mail and Proton mail somebody registered with. I know you are conscious about your business email ID is not going out, but again, this is a business forum. This is a professional forum. So all the personal email IDs have been filtered out. Rest 100 people are part of this raffle and I'm going to spin it. It will randomly pick one winner. So good luck, everyone. 337 people right now. I'm running it now. So the first winner is Naveen Gulati from Delhi chapter. My congratulations. Go to the chat and type yes if you are there in this session. And if you are not there, I will spin it one more time. I don't see Naveen Bhai yet. You have to be quick, guys. Okay, I'm running it now. Again, guys, be very quick. We will not wait because we are already late. 6:11. Raja from Chennai. Wait, Raja attends most of our sessions. I'm not sure whether he is there today or not. Let me see on the chat. Raja is there. Great, Raja. Congratulations. DM me your address and we will deliver this air purifier to you. So what is different in today's session? We are giving 2 giveaways, not just one. So I'm spinning it again for the second winner now. The first one goes to the Chennai chapter. Hi from Mumbai. Okay, sir, I guess you were there. You did type something on the chat earlier on. Let me see. Sanjeev sir, hard luck. What about Jitendra Panchalji? I don't see him there. Jitendra Panchalji is there. Great. Yes, perfect. Perfect. Great, guys. Both of them are gone. Congratulations. And again, thanks for joining Elite CISO session. Thank you, Palo Alto team. Recording will go on our website. Enjoy remaining Saturday and Sunday tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.